You ever notice how one small thing can ruin your entire day? Someone says something careless, a message comes off the wrong way, and suddenly your chest tightens, your mind starts racing, and you are stuck in that feeling for hours. But here's the part nobody tells you. What you are feeling was only supposed to last 90 seconds. That's it. The surge of anger, stress, frustration, chemically, it fades on its own. The rest, that's you, replaying it, feeding it, keeping it alive like a fire that should have gone out long ago. There are people who stay calm no matter what happens. And it looks like some kind of superpower, but it's not. They just understand something you don't yet. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. If you've ever wondered why you can't stay calm the way you want to, this is where it starts. The problem isn't that you feel too much. It's that you don't realize you are the one extending what you feel. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and your body reacts instantly. That's natural. Your heart rate spikes, your muscles tense, stress hormones flood in. That part isn't your fault. But what happens next is where everything goes wrong. You start telling yourself a story. What an idiot. People are so disrespectful. This always happens to me. And without noticing, you keep replaying the moment again and again, like pressing rewind on something that already ended. There are people who live like this every day, constantly triggered, constantly drained, thinking the world is the problem. They believe other people control how they feel. That one comment, that one tone, that one look has the power to ruin everything. But that belief is the trap, because the moment you think someone else controls your emotions, you give up control completely. The truth is harder to accept. No one is inside your mind continuing that reaction except you. The event ends, but your interpretation keeps it alive. That's why two people can experience the same situation and walk away feeling completely different. One lets it pass, the other carries it for hours. If this sounds familiar, then you are not stuck. You are just unaware of the pattern. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it anymore. Here's what most people never realize. The anger you feel is rarely the real emotion. It's just the surface. Underneath it, here is always something more vulnerable, something quieter, something you've learned to hide. Think about the last time you got really angry. Not just irritated, actually triggered. If you slow that moment down, what was really there? Maybe it wasn't anger. Maybe it was the feeling of being disrespected, or ignored, or not valued. And instead of sitting with that discomfort, your mind immediately chose anger. Because anger feels stronger, safer, more in control. There are people who explode when they're criticized, not because they're aggressive by nature, but because somewhere deep down, they already feel like they're not enough. So the anger steps in like a shield. It protects that fragile part from being exposed. This is why reacting blindly never solves anything. You are responding to the wrong emotion. You are fighting on the surface while the real issue stays untouched underneath. And that's why the same triggers keep showing up again and again in your life, just wearing different faces. The shift happens the moment you pause and ask a different question. Not, why am I so angry? But, what is this anger trying to protect? That one question changes everything. Because now, instead of reacting, you are understanding. Instead of defending, you are uncovering. Here is a version of you that doesn't need to explode to feel safe. But to become that person, you have to be willing to look past the anger and face what's actually there. Picture this. You're sitting there, reading an email that feels slightly off. Not openly rude, but something about it hits you the wrong way. Your fingers start moving fast across the keyboard. You're ready to reply, sharp and direct. In your head, it already sounds justified. There are people who live in that exact moment. React first. Think later. They hit send, and only afterward feel the weight of it. The tension. The awkwardness. Sometimes, even regret. But there's another version of this same scene. Same email. Same reaction in your body. The difference is what happens in the next few seconds. You pause. Just for a moment. Not long. Barely noticeable. And in that small gap, a different thought appears. Will I respect this response tomorrow? That single question changes the direction completely. Instead of firing back, you slow down. Maybe you rewrite the message. Maybe you wait. Maybe you realize it's not even worth the energy. The situation didn't change, but your role in it did. You were about to become someone reactive. Instead, you chose to become someone aware. There are moments like this happening every day in your life. Small, almost invisible decision points. Most people miss them entirely, which is why they feel controlled by everything around them. If you were in that moment, would you still press send immediately? Or would you stop yourself just in time? Here's the part that changes everything. What if the people who trigger you the most are not the problem? Toot, 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 but the training. It sounds uncomfortable, even unfair. Because when someone is difficult, your instinct is to see them as an obstacle. Someone who drains you, disrespects you, pushes your limits. But look closer. Every time they show up, they activate something specific inside you. Not random. Not accidental. Precise. There are people who go through life avoiding discomfort, avoiding conflict, avoiding anyone who challenges them. And on the surface, it looks peaceful. But underneath, nothing grows. No resilience, no emotional strength, just fragility, waiting for the next unexpected hit. Now imagine a different lens. That difficult coworker isn't just annoying, they're training your patience. That passive-aggressive comment isn't just irritating, it's sharpening your ability to stay grounded under pressure. That person who keeps crossing the line is forcing you to finally learn boundaries. Nothing about the situation becomes easy, but it becomes useful. And this is where the shift happens. The moment you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to build in me?" you take your power back. Because now, you're no longer reacting like a victim of circumstance. You're responding like someone in training. There are people who stay calm, not because life is easier for them, but because they've reframed every difficult interaction as practice. Practice staying centered. Practice not taking things personally. Practice choosing their response instead of being pulled into someone else's chaos. So here's the real question. When the next trigger shows up, go and it will. Do you see it as something attacking you? Kofu you? Or something shaping you? So what do you actually do with all of this? You don't try to change everything at once. That's where most people fail. You pick one moment, one trigger, and you handle it differently. Next time something hits you, remember this. What you're feeling will pass if you stop feeding it, just 90 seconds. Then find that small gap before you react. Even if it's only a breath, that gap is where your power lives. There are people who slowly rewire themselves this way, not through motivation, but through repetition. One pause. One better response. Again and again, until it becomes who they are. Maybe you start by simply noticing, "I'm getting triggered right now." That's enough. You don't need to fix it instantly. Awareness is the first shift. Then, when you're ready, you change the story. Maybe it's not disrespect. Maybe it's stress. Maybe it's not about you at all. You don't need perfect control. You just need a new pattern. Because the version of you that stays calm already exists. It's just waiting for you to choose it more often. If you understand this, you already know what to do next.